Facebook has said it will block new political advertisements in the US during the week before the presidential election in November. The company said it would also act against posts that try to dissuade people from voting. The social network said that after the vote, it would also quash any attempts by candidates to claim false victories. The carbon emissions from fires burning across the Arctic this summer were at record levels for a second year running. This is according to a group of scientists funded by the European Union. Researchers fear that so-called zombie fires may now be smouldering underground from one year into the next. It is thought that almost all of the fires are in Russia.
Meanwhile, US police officers involved in the suffocation of a black man who had a spit hood put over his head have been suspended. Daniel Prude died in New York in March, 7 days after officers covered his head and pinned him to the ground. His death only became public this week after his family released police body cam footage taken during his arrest. Sky News has learned that Virgin Atlantic is preparing to cut more than 1,000 jobs as it adjusts to the major reduction in air travel. It follows approval by the courts earlier this week of a £1.2 billion rescue deal and would mean the airline's workforce would be close to half what it was before the pandemic. John Boyega has accused Disney of sidelining non-white characters in the last Star Wars film. The actor said his character Finn, the franchise's first black stormtrooper, was marketed as an important figure but wasn't developed after the first movie.
The Brazilian government says more than 4 million people in the country are now known to have been infected with the coronavirus since the pandemic began. The health ministry says that in the latest 24-hour period, there were more than 43,000 new cases. President Jair Bolsonaro has consistently played down the severity of Covid-19 and earlier this week said nobody would be forced to have a vaccine once one became available. Protesters in Argentina have been demanding justice for a young man who was arrested for breaching coronavirus restrictions and whose dead body was later found dumped. Facundo Astudillo Castro was detained in April when hitchhiking during strict movement controls. His case has become a catalyst for protests about alleged police brutality. The Afghan government and the Taliban say they've completed a controversial exchange of prisoners, paving the way for peace talks to start. The process had stalled for weeks because some of the detainees demanded by the Taliban were described as serious criminals by the Afghan government. The Taliban is also thought to have freed Afghan government captives, including commandos.
The actor Robert Patterson, who's set to star in the latest Batman production, has tested positive for coronavirus, according to US media. On Thursday, a spokesperson for Warner Brothers confirmed a member of the production team was self-isolating, didn't identify who it was. Production of The Batman has now been forced to stop just days after filming had resumed.